Hey guys, I'm Rand Younger, and this is another episode of Under the Radar, where we talk all things film. And as always, I have a wonderful panel of guest critics with me tonight. I have back from a long while. Welcome back to the show, Mr. Chris Clemente.
Hey, how's it going, Randy? Good to be back.
Yeah, good to have you. It's like no time has passed at all. This is great.
No, we're jumping right back in.
Let's do it.
I love it too. It's like a smorgasbord of streaming movies today.
I know we've got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of streamers here. And back for more, Mr. Rob Harris. Rob, how you doing?
Hey, good. Thanks for having me back. It was a pleasure.
Do I see a furry friend near you?
Yeah, this is a special guest, my cat. She just decided to join us for the ride.
Awesome.
I think she watched 2 of the movies with me, so.
Sounds good. She probably has more to say than I do.
What's her name?
Her name is Kichi. It means
Kichi
in Japanese.
Oh,
nice.
Cool.
Very cute.
Very nice.
It was actually one time, fun fact, that I was watching 12 Monkeys with my brother. And at the beginning, there's a sequence with the rotating monkeys. And she was like staring at it. And like, she like ran away. She got very scared, like getting closer. Like, so she's been watching.
Smart cat.
Very wise. So guys, what are you watching this week? Tell me, Chris. I know you. It's been a while. So what are you watching?
Currently I'm doing a marathon of Sean Barker movies, or Baker movies. I'm still going through my Shameless for 2021. So Red Rocket is on there. So I haven't watched his other 2 films.
That's Simon Rex, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That's also on the Shameless for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And so I watched the Florida Project for the first time, and I loved it. I just was in awe that I haven't seen it yet, and the subject matter got to me, and it was just fantastic. I can't wait to see
Dafoe's best works, I think.
Yeah, he won the Oscar for it too, right?
Was that what?
At least nominated for it, I think.
Definitely nominated.
Yeah.
There's a scene where
rightfully so. He was so likable, and he was so you were just rooting for him all the time. I wanted to see more of him. And that scene with the pedophile was fantastic. Oh my God!
It just felt so real, like it was actually happening.
Oh yeah, and the little girl in that movie. I mean, I know that the director uses a lot of real people, like non-actors, to do a lot. So that girl, man, not to give the ending away, but towards the end, what happened to them? Oh my God, I was just choking up.
Yeah.
So next on the list is Tangerine before I see Red Rocket, and I'm really looking forward to that. So
definitely Red Rocket is up there for me on stuff I need to see. But yeah, Florida Project was really intense and just very vivid. And I don't think Willem Dafoe's ever given a bad performance. He's just so great.
No. And I don't think he gave such a likable performance too. Like he was just so you felt for him, and that there's a reason why he's a manager, at a crappy motel like that. But at the same time, he was just such a nice guy, and he treated the patrons of the motel with respect, and he did a really good job. Loved it.
He's just a great actor.
Can't wait to see more.
Yeah,
and just the director, the director is one of those auteurs where he's really championing theater and going back to the movies, and he has connections now with A24, and if you're subscribed to their newsletters, he sent over a love letter and just asking patrons to watch Red Rocket, but he has such a unique style. He really champions the underdogs, but even the most obscure underdogs that you wouldn't even think of. So I think he's one of the voices of our current generation. I could see him being a Scorsese or Spielberg type, but really championing kind of these smaller stories. So
I love that. And maybe we'll have them on the show one time. We'll see.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
No, he's definitely paving his way. So
Nice.
for sure, cutting his teeth.
Nice. Rob, what do you
other than that, just the regular fare. Guilty pleasure. I've been watching a lot of Queer Eye on Netflix, and my wife is really into it, and now I'm getting really into it. So it's really.
Is that the show where each guy has a certain talent, and basically they have to improve this average Joe's life?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I've never seen it. I think I've seen like 1 or 2 episodes, but yeah.
Yeah. And now like they're like on Netflix, and it's the type of thing like you could just put on and just veg out and have it on the background. But like I find myself getting drawn to it, and it's just inspirational. And like during this time and everything, it's good to have a little upbeatness in our lives. So I'm digging it. Yeah.
That's why I do the show, because I want to tell people watching, audiences, about great cinema. There's some great stuff.
Yeah, well, it's not great cinema, but it's right. I don't even think it's great television, but it's good for the soul. It's chicken soup for the soul.
It's all about the distraction, but we can't get too distracted, because then we'll lose track of what's really going on in the world.
Right.
We just need to find that balance, and I hope I provide viewers with that. So.
You do. You've always had a great eclectic viewings, for sure.
Yeah.
I think tonight is probably one of the more mainstream episodes you've done.
Right.
But
it's been I've gotten better at that in the past couple months, actually. There's more continuity with my selection process.
Some movies that you show, like I might have seen once, because it's just an avant-garde film, but it's seared into my brain. Like I referenced the movie from time to time. It was actually on my top 10, I think, last year. I forgot the name of the movie. It was with Jesse Eisenberg when they went into.
I knew right away. That was earlier last year. It was like around this time, I think. Vivarium or something.
Yes. Yeah.
It was so out there, man.
It was so out there, but I loved it. Because it was so unique, and like from time to time, I might find myself in a neighborhood that kind of looks like that. So me and Kathy, my wife, we would look at each other and we're like, this totally feels like this movie.
It's a crazy movie, Rob. I don't think you saw it, but it's basically about this young couple who it's Jesse Eisenberg and I forget the girl. They basically move into this this beautiful suburb, and they go there to check out a house. But
it was almost like the suburb of Edward Scissorhands. It almost had that feel to it, yeah.
Right, but there was no escape. Like they couldn't escape it. They kept driving around. Wasn't that the same house? No. Yes, it was. Was it? So they don't know what the hell's going on. Then they just end up living there. And along the way, they have this baby that comes in a box, like a package that they have to assemble, I think. And it is one of the weirder. It's weird for Tim Burton. He didn't do it. He would have looked at the script. No way, this is too weird for me. Wow. But that was one of the stranger movies of that year. I think it was early 2021. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll check it out.
Didn't think I'd revisit that, but thank you, Chris.
Yeah. There's you have a very eclectic palette of movies, for sure.
Sure, I try to keep things interesting. How about you, Rob? It's been about 2 weeks, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 2 weeks. Yeah. So yeah, I saw The Lady from Shanghai for the first time. Orson Welles and Rita Hayworth. Really visually interesting. I liked it very much. And I also saw a movie today in theaters called Belle. I don't know if you guys have heard of it, but it's an animated film. It was written and directed by Mamoru Hosoda, who directed all the episodes of a show called Samurai Champloo, which I like very much, which I didn't know going into it, but it looked interesting. I saw it got good reviews, and it blew me away. was riveted to my seat. Like I usually go and get like a second helping the popcorn and soda, but I couldn't leave the theater. Like it was so good. So I highly recommend that.
So is that
nice? What is it called?
Bell.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's animated, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And you can see it in theaters. You know, they do it like Japanese with subtitles, which I did, or you can see the English dub version too. So it's nice that they do that.
Cool. So, I'll check that out. I've been a little a little hesitant going back into the movie theater, in the past past month. So, and I have a few on my shame list, Chris, that is because of that fact.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I'm probably going to get into the theater, hopefully in the next week or two. We'll see. I don't know. But as for me, it's funny, actually, Rob, a lady from Shanghai, I think I interned at Sony Pictures and they had me transcribe that movie for them. Wow. for some kind of random project, for text project. And they had me, sit there, watch the movie, pause it, play it, and just like get all the dialogue down, just type it out. I don't know why they needed that, but I was a young kid, so I wasn't gonna ask questions. But it was a weird one. I think they made up the American actors to look Asian, I think.
Oh, I mean, I didn't know that. That there are a lot of Asian actors in there. Like the last part of it takes place in San Francisco, like the Chinatown area and stuff like that. So, yeah.
It may be a different movie I'm thinking of now that I think about it, but it wouldn't surprise me. They did that a lot back then. But as for me, actually, just like an hour and a half ago, I watched episode 2 of Peacemaker, which, guys, a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie. This is basically a sequel series to The Suicide Squad, which came out last year and basically follows John Cena's character, Peacemaker. He's just like this muscle-bound idiot who he's like a really good assassin, but he's just depicted as like kind of like a bumbling pretty boy beefcake guy. And he gets involved with this actually Amanda Waller assembles another team to go on another mission, and they basically enlist him. And it's actually really funny. It's got great action, great visual effects, and a really good cast. So that's on HBO Max, guys. Peacemaker.
I gotta check out the Suicide Squad movies first.
Yeah, that's a good idea. The first one came out a number of years ago. Then they came out with the new one last year. So they're both good. A lot of people don't like the first one. I do, but
I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're okay. I think they're really paving the DC style, as opposed to like the Marvel look and feel. So I think it's a good tone. I think it's a fun tone. I'll check it out. I'm interested in seeing more of Cena going at it. So sure.
See, with the DC stuff now, the live action DC stuff is really gritty, and it could go either. You could either love it or hate it. The Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, I didn't. I mean, I guess maybe with that one, I'm in the middle, but I don't know. I'm not really into that dark, gloomy world that they're creating with each of these properties. It's just I don't know. It's not.
You're just saying like
about it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm really interested in the Batman though. I can't wait for that.
True.
So.
True.
Yeah. But I think it's definitely it looks more like a noir, like almost like a Nolan type of Batman.
It looks dark like DC style, but like it's appropriate for Batman.
Right.
Hopefully, and plus I always mention the cast. I cannot wait to see Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot. I think that's going to be. I think he's just going to be kind of like a supporting villain. I think they're just going to focus mostly on the Riddler and Catwoman. But I saw an image. I think I don't know if it was an official image of Paul Dano as the Riddler, but it was just not a very good looking suit. I don't know.
It was almost like a gas mask, right?
Yeah, it was like this weird like robe.
Yeah. I feel like almost that he's almost going to be secondary. He's almost going to be like the mastermind that kind of chimes in and we really follow Catwoman. I don't even think that she's really going to be much of a villain, as opposed to like a love interest, and then I think really the Penguin is going to be the actual one, but who knows? I think it's a great choice. I didn't realize that I knew it was Colin Farrell because of casting, but looking at him, like, he does not look like it. I think it's a great choice. I think they originally were going to go with Jonah Hill, and he had some creative differences. So
interesting. Speaking of which, Don't Look Up. Maybe we should get into that. That's a good segue.
Yeah, it was unintentional.
Yes, yes. Also, I want to mention, this was very exciting. I caught this on YouTube, like randomly, like it just showed up in my feed or whatever. There's this channel, Gaming Historian, and basically it's this guy who he does a lot of homework. He does these documentaries about classic video games, the origin, the development of, like, what I watched two of them. I watched the origin of Super Mario Brothers 3 and Tetris. And this guy really knows his stuff. He digs deep into the history of Nintendo, and for Tetris, for all this Russian software developer, and really cool stuff. I don't know if you guys are big on the classic games, but
there's a guy that I watch too. He's based in the UK. His name is the Top Hat Gaming Man. Also very well researched. So yeah, I recommend that guy too. I love stuff like that, Randy. It's
cool, right? It's like, it's really informative and educational. It's educational and entertaining, which I love. And that's what that's what I try to do with this show, you know. And also they reminded me in the Super Mario one, they mentioned the movie The Wizard from 1989.
Talking about that movie like about a month ago, Randy.
Right? Yeah, it came up again.
I really have to see it. Like, I've been thinking about it like all week. Oh my goodness.
You know, I saw it like a long time ago when I was a kid, and then I rewatched most of it. I didn't finish. I didn't get up to the cool part with the game tournament.
I've never seen it, so most.
Okay, sorry. Well,
you know about it, right? I'm having flashbacks now.
Okay,
I was obsessed with it as a kid.
Yeah. Well, Rob, I don't know if I could spoil it for you. Do you mind, or?
I mind. Yes.
Okay, fine.
Sorry.
Well, no, the last scene,
I'm dying to see it.
30 plus years too late.
Amazing. You know what? Next time you're on, we'll do a little recap of that. A little mini review of The Wizard 1989. I love it. Okay, guys. So back to Jonah Hill. We've got Don't Look Up. And I mean, this movie, again, I think you can either love it or hate it. It's one of those. There's a lot of those this week. Okay, I'll just give you the synopsis. Basically, it's about two astronomers played by Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence, who discover an unusual comet that they predict, that they do the scientific calculations that it will hit Earth in, like, I think 6 or 7 months. And basically, they try to warn the president, played by Meryl Streep, and Jonah Hill plays the chief of staff, who's also her son. And it's a satire. It's a commentary on climate change. And also, I guess you could also consider a satire on the pandemic, what's going on. Basically, people, paranoid about the end of the world, that sort of thing. But at the same time, the media and the government not really giving a crap. And basically, DiCaprio and Lawrence, they go on this talk show to try to warn everybody. And the hosts of the talk show, they don't really believe it, or they don't really care. It's an interesting look at the way society views a potential disaster. And it's kind of like scary and sad that these people don't really care, except for these two scientists. I thought it was a great movie. It's actually on my top 10 of the year. It's written and directed by Adam McKay, also by David Sirota. And we all know Adam McKay, from his frat pack comedies of the early 2000s, Anchorman, Talladega Nights. Then he kind of went into, The Other Guys, excuse me. Then he went into more dramatic stuff.
Step Brothers.
Oh, did he? Yeah, there you go. See, he was making a name for himself as like this goofy comedy, raunchy comedy guy. But then I think in 2014, he came out with The Big Short, which was a lot more serious than his Will Ferrell stuff. And that was about the Great Recession in 2008. And then he did Vice, which was about Dick Cheney, and also kind of like a satire. And now we have Don't Look Up, which is it's just a very interesting film. And the cast is insane. I already mentioned a couple of them. We also have Mark Rylance as like this billionaire business guy who is in charge of like the joint NASA project to land on the comet and just blow it up, kind of like Armageddon style. So he's pretty good in it. We also have Tyler Perry, Timothy Chalamet, Ron Perlman, Ariana Grande, Kate Blanchett, and of course Meryl Streep. So if you don't love the cast, that's fine. But the movie, I think, is really one of the best of the year. It's kind of funny, but not like laugh out loud funny. It's dark, but it's also kind of light in certain moments too. It's a kind of a very interesting tone that Adam McKay struck here, and I just fell in love with it. I think it's a great film. It's on Netflix, guys. So yeah, Rob, since you were not a fan, you go first. Get it out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, on a positive note, the cast was stellar. Like, it was really nice to see DiCaprio again. Like, I love him. I think he's one of the best actors of our generation. But yeah, I didn't like the film. I was hoping that it would have been funnier, but like I wasn't really struck with laughter. There was like one scene that I laughed at, but I felt like it wasn't really saying anything that was like penetrating at the same time. Like I didn't really feel any takeaway from the film. Like I really just wasn't engaged by it. It was well made, but like I just didn't really think that it was interesting. So
okay. It could have been funnier, but again, I think the tone that they struck was really perfect. I guess you'd call it a black comedy, dark comedy. Yeah. Chris, thoughts, sir?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I flat out love it. Like you, Randy, it's on one of my top 10s. Yeah, I mean, it's a straight satire, so it's not supposed to be a goofball comedy. It's not supposed to be laugh out loud. Although I found myself laughing out loud just because it was art mimicking life. It was just, it was really surreal given the climate of today and the pandemic. And from what I heard, they had to rewrite a lot of stuff because the pandemic hit. So initially this movie was made or written at least before the pandemic struck. And it was going to be strictly a climate change type of commentary. But given, kind of the climate, also we're post-Trump era, so there's a lot of, of that commentary as well. And it was spot on. And I have to disagree with you, Rob, just because I think it was very poignant, the point that Adam McKay was making and the cast was making, especially given that we're in the pandemic and that given that we're post-Trump and that everything is so politicized and everything has an opinion and everyone has a side to things. I think it was just, it was very interesting and just very refreshing to see, that portrayed on screen, because in a way I'm championing that, because there's days and weeks and months that go by, even within this pandemic, where I'm just shaking my head at the news. I'm shaking my head at conversations I'm having with people. And this to me felt like a more straight edge version of Idiocracy and how that's portrayed. And that too is a satire. I think this is a little bit drier than that because we don't see as many goofballs, although we see a lot of brain dead politicians and personnel in this movie. But I think it's exactly, a tone of like just your typical satire that kind of hits the chord, and it's an acquired taste. It's either you like it or you don't, and I could see why people don't like it. I can see why you don't like it, Rob. But to me, I think I'm happy that this exists, because I think everything is so double-sided nowadays that it's nice to see that, we're not the only ones thinking that way. So it was really like I felt like hugging the screen afterwards. I felt like giving the screen a nice warm hug because it's everything that I was kind of like projecting and thinking, but it was portrayed in a manner that was on screen, which was nice. And there was a couple times that I was laughing out loud. When it got to the point where it started to be the like almost like the Make America Great Again type of campaign, or the Don't Look Up campaign. And you just saw, just the crowds and the tweets and the social media element of it, and people going back and forth. And it just got to me. And just the conversations that we're having in the Oval Office around, is it 100%? Nothing's 100%. And Jonah Hill was definitely the goofiest of, I think, all the characters. And I think it was just spot on great. It was to me anyway, it was a very, very funny comedy. Yeah.
I think Adam McKay is really stepping up, like within the last decade. He's definitely really shown that he knows how to tackle like real issues, but in kind of in a goofy manner. And it works. I love it. In a weird way, it also reminded me of almost like an Aaron Sorkin production, like a commentary on social issues. But it
was better than being the Ricardos for sure.
Yeah, a lot better than that. But we're going to talk about that more in a week, I think.
yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of sides to that one. But yeah, I mean, Aaron Sorkin is definitely very political. I think Adam McKay is a great example of how a lot of drama and a lot of sensitive subject matter can come from comedy. There's a lot said about comedians make great dramatic actors, and dramatic actors don't necessarily make great comedic characters or comedians. Talking about, you just mentioned Robin Williams before, he's a great example where he's a great dramatic actor, or he was a great dramatic actor, and he came from comedy.
Well, I'll tell you an example that comes up a lot on this show for some reasons, a movie that really we analyze this like heavily, Uncut Gems. And Adam Sandler, I think that might be my favorite Adam Sandler movie, because he was so not Adam Sandler. He was like this totally different guy, this gritty guy, kind of a hustler, who, I don't want to give it away if anyone hasn't seen it, but
I haven't seen it.
It's a crazy movie. What happened?
You have to see it.
Yeah, it's been on my list for a long time. I heard nothing but good things about it, so I'm excited to see it.
Definitely.
We saw that at the Alamo Draft House, and it was awesome. Yeah,
nice, great place. So Don't Look Up, I say it's on my top 10, so definitely go see it. It's on the radar. It's all of that. Rob, I guess you would not recommend this to people.
I would say run in the opposite direction.
You'd say look up.
So I would stop those people and have them.
I'd have the pin of the compass, with like all, the cardinal directions.
And I'll just flip them around and just say, just go, just try it. It's like olives. It's like an acquired taste.
Yes. And Chris, I think you would recommend this to people.
Yes. I mean, I think don't necessarily go at it for the laughs. Go at it for the commentary. go at it for what the message is trying to say. And I think if you go at it with that lens, you'll find yourself at least laughing on the inside because there is some humor there.
Yeah.
Well, I just was imbued with like pessimism, watching it, honestly. But
yeah.
Or at least watch it because you get to see Meryl Streep with a tramp stamp.
Yeah. You see a naked Meryl Streep from behind. It is different. It's interesting. Anyway, Don't Look Up. It is now streaming on Netflix. So check that out if you're so inclined. It's actually doing really well too. It's like one of the most streamed movies, I think, of the year. It's got
on Netflix.
Yeah, it's doing very, very well. So I think that's mostly due to the star power of the cast. But guys, we're just gonna take a short commercial break, but we'll be back with more movie reviews right after this.
Under the Radar is brought to you by Magnitude Jewelry. Add a 2 to match your attitude. Patent pending, interchange genuine gemstone and crystal EMF protection jewelry. For more information, please visit magnitudejewelry.com/gemgirl or call 718-268-6634.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Randy Younger Under the Radar. And we have 2 more films to discuss tonight. And we spent a bit of time on Don't Look Up. So we won't spend too much time on this one, even though this is a great film too, in my opinion. It's called The Tender Bar, and it stars Ben Affleck. It takes place in this 1972, and it's about this young boy's life. His father is kind of estranged. He's not really in his life. He's a radio personality. So basically the son has a relationship with his father through the radio. It's very sad, actually. But the kid does find a role model in his uncle, played by Affleck. And basically we follow their relationship from young boy, I think it was about 5 or 6, to college age. And college aged version of the character's name is J.R. McGuire. So young JR turns into college age JR, played by Ty Sheridan of Ready Player One fame. And you know what? I never really liked Sheridan that much until I saw this movie. I thought he was very, something about him. He was very likable, kind of naive, but at the same time, a little street smart. And basically we follow him and his relationship with this girl. It's kind of like a weird, turbulent relationship. We don't really know where it's going. The heart of the movie is really JR's relationship with the uncle, played by Ben Affleck. And I think this is some fantastic acting by Affleck. I love the relationship. It just felt genuine. And also it's set in the 70s and 80s. And you actually do kind of feel like you're in that time period. So kudos to the filmmakers. George Clooney actually directed. So kudos to him and his wonderful production here. The Tender Bar. Rob, what did you think, sir?
Overall, I really like this movie. I appreciate you turning me on to this. As you said, Ben Affleck, stellar performance. Very nice to see Christopher Lloyd. Still at it. He played the grandfather. Just like warmed my heart to see him on screen again. I loved the young JR. Daniel.
His name is Daniel Ranieri. Ranieri, yeah.
He was fantastic. And his chemistry with Affleck, was really wonderful to see on screen. Ty Sheridan, like between the two actors, I felt a little bit of discontinuity. you know, from the young to like the college age JR. But overall, the movie was really good. I liked the story itself very much. Like, it spoke to me personally. You know, like, I was close like with my grandfather and stuff like that growing up. You know, so I identified with that. But the cinematography was stellar. You know, I really like, you know, as you said, how you felt like you were in the 70s and 80s watching it. You know, very well made movie. I liked it a lot.
I credit the set designer and maybe the cinematographer as well for just really, you know, drawing us into that world, to that time period. Really well done. And everything kind of felt like there was like this orange tint, which was like always like sunset or like dusk or dawn. So it was something about that made me feel like I was in the 70s. I don't know why.
It worked really, really well for the film, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Mr. Clemente, sir, thoughts on the Tender Bar?
Well, let me start off with this. I was really looking forward to this movie. I'm a big George Clooney fan. He's one of the actors where I don't have to know what he's in. I'll just watch it. I pretty much love everything that he's in. The stint that he did with like The Descendants and Up in the Air and The American's one of his, I think, hidden gems that I think a lot more people should watch. I love Midnight Sky. So I went in like really anticipating this film and really looking forward to it. And then I watched the trailer and I was a little nervous because it felt a little too playing the heartstrings a little bit too cliched. But I respected the fact that it was like a 180 from Midnight Sky. It was like something completely different, of which George Clooney also directed.
Wasn't that also the top 10, Chris, of last year?
Yes. Yep, it was.
I remember that, yeah.
And my top 10 last year was, number one was The Way Back with Ben Affleck. I think that is...
right.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, please watch it. I think that is his best acting to date.
Yeah.
So with that, you know, going into that, I was really like looking forward to seeing the next movie that Ben Affleck was going to act in, and knowing, you know, that they're two actors, director-actor with George Clooney and director-actor with Ben Affleck, and I was really eager to see their chemistry. And unfortunately, it did not hit me the way I wanted it to. I was kind of underwhelmed by the movie. With that said, I think there's a lot of good. Rob, you touched on a lot of it. Randy, you did too. But ultimately, I felt like there wasn't like high stakes for JR's character. I didn't feel like he was in major distraught because of his relationship or lack of relationship with his father. Ultimately he got into Yale, like no one died in the movie, so like I felt like, sorry if that's not a spoiler or whatnot, but ultimately I just felt like there was nothing really latching on to make me question like what's going to happen to this character.
Right.
It was very nostalgic. I too love the fact that it was set in the 70s and the fact that you had this almost like dim quality that you were mentioning. It gave it a very analog, tangible feel to it, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed the acting overall. Ben Affleck kind of felt like he was roping in like the Good Will Hunting, kind of as style, Boston style a little bit. And I love the acting of the young actor, the young JR.
Yeah.
But with that, I just felt like the romance relationship, I felt like that was kind of awkward, and I felt like it really didn't go anywhere. And it just, at the end, I just felt very dissatisfied, unsatisfied with what happened. It was nice, and I feel like it just, maybe I'm just not the audience for it. Maybe it's just because like it felt like it was playing on the heartstrings a little too much, and it was like trying to grab, that Oscar a little bit. So I kind of felt that, but yeah. I could totally see why people would love this and relate to it. There was a huge relatability to this movie, but I just wanted a little bit more. I just wanted a little bit more, just distraught from this character, a little bit more challenge to this character, and I just didn't get it.
Well, you know what? That's a good point you brought up. There's like really no sense of urgency. You know, there's like no impending doom or like villain, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think it was trying to touch that way. I think, there was some health scares with the family. There's obviously the lack of the relationship with the father, and then he came into his life again. So, they could have played more with that, but at the end of the day, he's making out pretty well, and it felt like, and towards the end especially, I felt like it was ripping off Good Will Hunting a little bit, especially with Ben Affleck scene. It felt like the mine shaft scene, or the construction site scene of Good Will Hunting with Ben Affleck. It felt repetitive. So to me, the movie felt like a combination between Good Will Hunting and Bronx Tale a little bit. It had that kind of like period piece, to it. So like kind of like, blue collar, poorish type of, upbringing, trying to get into, upper class, and it felt like it's been done before, in my opinion.
Right. It did feel, I agree with you. It did feel familiar. But there were some really original moments too. Like there's this scene, this scene where the young JR, he's going to a school function and he has to bring his dad. But his dad's not around, so he brings Christopher Lloyd. And Christopher Lloyd, he dresses up. He looks very dapper, and like a real gentleman in his 80s. And he kisses his wife on the forehead, and I think I almost cried at that point. It was just so beautiful, just really well made scene. And there's really there's no sense of urgency. There's really what's going to happen to JR. That's really it. Everyone in his family, his girlfriend, is he going to become a successful writer? Spoiler alert, he does, because this is based on a memoir of the actual guy. His name actually is J.R. Moringer, and this movie is based on his memoir of becoming a journalist and novelist. So that's really cool that there's that. I
didn't put that together, but like that in itself is kind of humorous, because it's like, look at me, look at what I did. Type of thing.
Yeah. So there you go, based on a true story, apparently. So that's the Tender Bar, guys. I think it's not in my top 10, but you might hear about it on our best and worst episode in a couple weeks. So the Tender Bar.
So Randy, this is a conflict I have. Do you consider this 2022 or 2021?
Well, I think I checked on IMDb, and for me, IMDb is like the Bible. So I think it said 2021 on there. I think it came out in December. So.
Yeah, I think it just did like a small run, just to get Oscar nominations for this year. But who's like going to it when we're like, focused on Omicron and,
Yeah, no, you have a good point. So wait, so you're saying that stuff that's pushed back to now?
If you look at when Amazon was streaming it started in January, right? So I get it, but I'm counting this as 2022, and this is my issue with some of the 2021 stuff that we're going to be looking at with the best of the year, because who is going to the theater, or who is going to the Cannes Film Festival, during like a pandemic lockdown. So
it's crazy, the shuffle.
There
was one movie, I forget I think it came out technically in 2020. It was called Supernova, and it starred Stanley Tucci and Colin Firth as a gay couple. That was amazing. That was so good.
Yes.
but I don't think it was 2021 though. I think it was.
But here's my thing, Randy, and I bring this up because it might be on my list, for the best stuff.
Oh, that's funny.
If you look at Amazon, right, it says 2021.
Okay. All right. So I might have to reevaluate my list for the show.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So The Tender Bar now playing in select theaters and is currently streaming on Amazon Prime. So we just have 10 minutes left, so we'll try to get through this one as best as we can. This is a lot different from what we've been talking about. It's The Tragedy of Macbeth, starring Denzel Washington and Frances McDormand, directed by her husband, I believe, Joel Coen, of the Coen brothers fame. This is actually his first directorial debut, solo debut. So it's very interesting that he's detached from his brother for this project. Obviously, we all know the William Shakespeare tragedy of Macbeth, about ambition and murder, and basically that thirst for power, and what will one man do to get that power. And I think we get a great film, a great retelling of the Bard's work here. Denzel Washington plays Macbeth. Frances McDormand is his wife. And these are two of my favorite actors. They can do no wrong. Between them, I think they have like 4 Academy Awards, and they are just so great in everything that they do. This retelling is in black and white, which makes it kind of stylized, a little different. So that was pretty cool. I don't think it would have been the same if we're in color. I don't think it would have worked nearly as well as it did in black and white. So that was great. The sets are great. The costumes and props are fantastic, very authentic for the time period, like I would know. I was not around during that time, but I'm just assuming. But yeah, this is a fantastic film. I'll be honest, the Shakespearean language, the Old English, I had to put on the subtitles. I'm not going to lie. That was the one negative. Yeah, but this film, overall positives across the board. I definitely give the 2 leads. They're definitely fantastic in the leading roles. They carried the film brilliantly. So does Carter Burwell's score, the composer here. I think he did a very good job. He's actually a frequent collaborator with the Coen brothers, so that would make sense. But yeah, Chris, what did you think of this retelling of Macbeth?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this movie. Big Coen Brothers fan, and I like Macbeth quite a bit. I'm not the biggest Shakespeare fan. It's a hit or miss with me. Mostly misses. I think, to be quite honest, I think he's a little overplayed. I think the kids have to stop, teaching them in school a bit, or the teachers have to stop teaching in school. But Macbeth is by far my favorite Shakespeare play, and I was really excited for it. Great cast, love Denzel Washington. Denzel Washington, classically trained too, did a fair bit of Shakespeare too. He came off his stint with Fences, so he obviously knows the stage and knows how to put it into film. So I was really excited. And I loved it. I don't think it's the most mind-blowing thing for me, but that could just be me, because I think it takes a lot for me to really appreciate a film version of Shakespeare, because so much of it is reliant on the text, right, on the page and that Old English. So to me, the performances really have to stand out, and the direction has to stand out, and performances were great. Loved everyone in this. For me, I think the standout was the directing, was Joel Coen and the cinematographer here. It was a beautiful film. Had some great effects that were so subtle but so stylized. The witch, portraying 3 bodies in one, phenomenal. I love that scene where you just see her contorted and just talking in 3 tongues. I think that was like just a great visual effect, great practical effect. The lake or the pond with the 3 images, and just how they relayed fog and mist and in the sky and the gloom. It was just great choice to have it in black and white. It was just phenomenal, the cinematography. So to me, it was just a great film. Highly recommend it. And yeah, I can't wait to see, what Joel does on his own again, and I can't wait to see what he does with his brother again. From my understanding, I think he just did this as a passion project during the pandemic. It's something that the other really didn't care about as much. So from what I've gathered in other interviews, so but I can't wait to see what else is on his plate.
Yeah, I'm just very curious. I looked into it a little bit. I couldn't really find anything as to why he broke off from Ethan. Like, why did he make this his first solo?
I was reading into it too. Everyone was like speculating if they have a breakup, if they're that no longer doing movies. And I think it's really, he was really big into doing an adaptation. The other one was not, and the pandemic struck, and he just did it as a passion project, really. So
Quarantine.
Why not?
Yeah. But yeah, it's fantastic. So again, I'm going to mirror what you said. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to what he does on his own in the future and what he does with his brother, because obviously they have almost 40 years of classic cinema. So yeah. Rob, what were your thoughts on this film?
I was very surprised by it. I loved it. I felt like at times like I was watching like a movie from like the 1920s or 30s at times. Like it wasn't black and white, which I thought was very tasteful. But if you layer that on top of the fact that they made very like simplistic, like naked kind of sets, and just like really focused on the lighting, and I mean it was really beautiful. Like the cinematography was fantastic, but just that simplicity really allowed the actors to move through the space and for you to focus and hear the words that are being said, because it's different from our vernacular today. But gorgeous picture. Really, I mean, the acting was fantastic, captivating. And one thing that I have to say, his name was Brian Thompson. I was very happy to see him. He was the villain Cobra. He was also in The Terminator. He was one of like the punks at the beginning of the film. He was one of the murderers in Macbeth here. He had like a long beard and everything like that. So just me nerding out, like I was very happy to see that actor in this film. But yeah, this film was something special. I was very, very captivated by it. So yeah, I say see it.
I mean, whenever you say Denzel Washington, that's all I need, because he's one of my favorite, probably my top 5 favorite actors. Whatever he's in, I have to go see. So I was looking forward to this as well. Chris, I know you were as well. Since I heard about it, like I think middle of last year, I heard about it.
I got chills when I saw the trailer, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, oh my goodness.
And what gave me more chills was that this is an A24 production. And this company, man, before this, I think their bigger one was The Green Knight, which Rob, I believe we reviewed that together.
Yes, we did. Yep.
So they know how to take like a classic story, like a medieval story, and kind of make it feel updated in a weird way, and like really, really captivating and interesting. And they really know how to pick their projects. So
they're definitely an interesting up and coming studio for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Rob, are you a big Coen Brothers person?
Yes, very much so, Randy. Huge fan of the Big Lebowski. Raising Arizona, Fargo. Like I really just love their style. They're not for everybody. They're like, by many standards, like very weird and like, even zany at times. But like, I really, really love their style, and their sense of humor also. So yeah.
We may have to do a commentary or a few commentaries on some classic Coen Brothers films. I think that was Chris. You'd be down for that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What are some of your? Because Chris, didn't we go? We went to an event.
We did
at the Nighthawk Cinema.
With you, yeah. The Burn After Reading, right?
They screened, and you never saw it before. They screened Burn After Reading.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of a lesser known Coen Brothers film, also kind of a satire, I'd say, on in terms of intelligence and like the CIA, how they keep secrets from Americans, and the outcome of that movie was ridiculous.
That has become one of my favorites. Since we watched it together, I probably watched it like 5 times after that. So, that Big Lebowski. I mean, Fargo. I mean, I love Blood Simple. Their first one was like fantastic. It really set the bar for them.
See, with Blood Simple, I saw Blood Simple for the first time a couple years back. I didn't love it. I think that may warrant another viewing. I think.
Yeah. Like a lot of. I feel like I always find it funny when like someone mentions the first movie of like an auteur director or directors in this case and say like that was their best. Like Scorsese gets like Mean Streets like that was his best. He hasn't done anything great since. I'm like, really? Like if that was his best, like he really went downhill after that. That doesn't make sense to me. But like of course they have to feel their oats, but I respect them quite a bit because they don't care. Like they'll make it, just to make it. Because they have the gumption and will too. And I mean, I love like No Country for Old Men. I love the McCormick novels too. So like it's just one of my favorites. Yeah.
Hudsucker Proxy for me is really
special. That I watched so much as a kid. Not just because it was always on HBO, and like it was just one of those movies that like you're homesick and like you're watching HBO and like they're playing the Hudsucker Proxy, and I always like Paul Newman, like even as like a young kid. So so like that, like I think like I was like a Coen Brothers fan even like before I knew that they existed. Yeah.
My first real exposure to the Coen Brothers was I had a roommate freshman year of college who would he would play The Big Lebowski on every single night on VHS to help him fall asleep. And of course, it's a bunk bed, so I'd have to watch it too. And I'm not complaining. It was a great movie. I had like most of the dialogue absorbed into my subconscious, and it's a great film, and after that, I had to see pretty much everything that they did.
Yeah, I had a relationship that film too, like that, Randy. There was a while where I just like watched that movie with my buddy, and we watched it, I want to say like once every 2 weeks. Like it was like a thing. And then we go bowling after. Like, but if you guys haven't seen Crime Wave, I recommend it. Sam Raimi directed it, and the Coen brothers, like worked on it with him, and they wrote it with him. So
it was like a film noir, right?
Cool.
Yes, but it's very cartoonish. It's kind of like in the vein of Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's very weird, but absolutely worth seeing. Just even for the aesthetic alone. Like
I've tried to find it. I have to hunt this movie down.
I have it on disc, Randy. We should get together and watch it sometime. Yeah,
that sounds amazing. Also, I don't know if you guys knew. I believe that Sam Raimi, the Coen brothers, and what's her name? What's from Raising Arizona? What's her name? Holly Hunter. I think they all shared an apartment in like the 70s or 80s. And that was like during the time where they had all these ideas. Yeah, isn't that
it's great just to imagine that?
Oh my gosh.
Imagine
to be a fly on the wall. Yeah.
That would have been a crazy place. That apartment would have been so cool to live in.
Yep.
But don't quote me. I'm hoping it's a true story. I'm pretty sure it's true. But yeah, that was a crazy time, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, but yeah, we got some Coen brothers stuff bubbling up here. I love some future commentaries, some future discussions. I love it.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we have just a couple minutes left. I just want to do coming attractions, what's coming out this week, and let's see what we got here. Oh, also I forgot to mention the Tragedy of Macbeth is now playing in select theaters and is currently streaming on Apple TV Plus. So check that out if you haven't done so already. And this is actually a pretty light week for coming attractions. We've got a thriller called The Requiem, starring Alicia Silverstone and James Tupper as a couple that go on a romantic getaway only to get swept away in a tropical storm, and is basically their fight for survival through this storm. Sounds promising, actually. We also have a crime drama called Clean, starring Adrian Brody as a garbage man who tries to live a quiet life of redemption, but when his good intentions make him the target of a local crime boss, he must soon reconcile with the violence of his past. So that is called Clean. So, Chris, I think you're an Adrian Brody fan, right?
Yeah, I enjoy his work. I don't think I'm the biggest fan, but I recently watched The French Dispatch, and I enjoyed his. I think he does great with Wes Anderson. I really enjoyed him in Midnight in Paris as Dali. I thought that was a great performance by him. He's a great character actor, so I like seeing him when he pops up. Like, I wouldn't say I would want to go everything that he sees, but like, it's like he's familiar. He it's going to be a great performance. So it's very comforting to watch his stuff.
And he's got good comic timing, so that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, and lastly, we have a Danish drama called A Taste of Hunger. And it stars Nikolai Coster-Waldau. He's a familiar face if you have heard the name, but it's a Danish film, Danish drama romance. So check out A Taste of Hunger. So guys, we just have about a minute left. Any plugs, Chris?
I want to plug the San Francisco Film Festival that's coming up in April. I've been doing some screeners and some judging for them. They're short films anyway, and there's a lot of good stuff coming down the pike. So shout out to them.
Cool. Are you going to be going there, or are they doing virtual stuff?
I'm not sure if they're switching to virtual right now, but I don't think I'll be going, but I'll be hitting up anything that they have virtually for sure.
Cool. Sounds good. Any projects? I know you were producing a mini series about a year or two ago. The Four Nationals.
Yes. We moved on to something called Cali Dreams. That's in production right now. So I'm doing some advising, some producing on that, but nothing as of yet that I can talk about. So.
Okay, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Mr. Harris, anything you want to plug tonight?
I'm just trying to, work on a creative writing project that I had started in school about a year ago. Trying to get the structure behind it and just kind of find my writing voice. So that's really what I'm working on at the project at the moment. So.
All right.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, gentlemen, keep those creative juices flowing, please.
Sure.
Watching at home on your devices, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. We hope you've taken away some fun stuff tonight, some good movie suggestions at least. And if you want to catch previous episodes of Under the Radar, you could check the Under the Radar YouTube channel. Feel free to subscribe and share. Also, if you want to see new episodes of the show, just go to Manhattan Neighborhood Network, the Lifestyle Channel 2, every Monday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Also, you can check out the show on cable TV channels, FiOS 34, RCN 83, and Spectrum 56 and 1996. So that's Under the Radar. I've been your host, Randy Unger. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Take care.